Beliefs are what make the difference between a lifetime of joyous contribution and one of misery and devastation. Beliefs are what separate a Mother Teresa from a Charles Manson. Beliefs are what cause some individuals to become heroes, while others lead lives of quiet desperation. See, the power of beliefs is virtually unlimited. Our beliefs can literally create or destroy. Beliefs are not merely matters of emotion or action. They can literally change our bodies in a matter of moments. I recently had the privilege of interviewing Yale professor and best-selling author Dr. Bernie Siegel. As we began to speak about the power of belief, Bernie shared with me some of the research he'd done on people with multiple personality disorders. Incredibly, the potency of these people's beliefs, the belief that they had become a different person, resulted in an unquestioned command to their nervous system that made measurable changes in their biochemistry. Their bodies would literally transform before the researchers' eyes in a moment's notice. Patients' eye color actually changed as their personalities changed, literally from brown to blue. Physical markings on their bodies disappeared and reappeared. Even diseases such as diabetes or high blood pressure would come and go depending on the person's belief as to which personality they were truly manifesting. So what exactly is a belief? This thing that's so powerful. Basically, it's simply a feeling of certainty about what something means. It's a feeling that's supported by what we call references, by life experiences that hold that belief up. Think of an idea as a tabletop with no legs. There's nothing to support it. It's not solid. It becomes a belief the day you put legs underneath that tabletop. Now it's supported. Now it's solid. Now you feel certain. If you have a belief, for example, that you're sexy, that belief is supported by the events in your life. Your mate tells you that you're a terrific lover. You look good in your jeans. You work out every day. You keep your body in great shape, and you drive a hot car. You can develop a belief about anything as long as you find enough, quote, legs, in other words, enough references to support it. If you see yourself as a failure, for example, as someone who doesn't have the luck or the connections or the willpower of those who succeed, then that belief will govern your actions, and you'll most certainly mold exactly the life you predict for yourself. But if you honestly believe in your own capabilities, your capabilities to learn, to change, to adapt, to expand, to achieve personal breakthroughs, then your possibilities in life are literally unlimited. And you know what? You'll find references to back this up, to make yourself feel even more certain. And all personal breakthroughs, we must remember, begin with a change in our beliefs. How do we change our beliefs, though? The most effective way begins with understanding the pain-pleasure principle. Get your brain to associate enough massive pain to your old belief, and I promise you it'll change in a heartbeat. You've got to feel deep in your gut that not only has this belief cost you pain in the past, but it's costing you pain in the present, and ultimately it can take away everything you desire from your future. Then you need to associate tremendous pleasure to the idea of adopting a new empowering belief. Another important element in changing a disempowering belief is to create doubt. See, if you're really honest with yourself, aren't there some beliefs that you used to defend heart and soul years ago that today you'd almost be embarrassed to admit you even had? What happened to those beliefs? Something caused you to begin to doubt them. Maybe you had a new experience. Maybe something that ran counter to the experience that had propped up that old belief. Maybe, for example, you met some Russians and found out they were people just like you. They weren't part of some evil empire. Or maybe you discovered that if you relaxed and you really let yourself enjoy it, you really could look pretty good on the dance floor. In any case, something happened that planted a seed of doubt in your old limiting belief. Your mind began to re-examine or question your belief. And that's the key to beginning to break up your old limiting beliefs. If you question anything enough, eventually you'll begin to doubt it. This is a tremendously effective strategy for shedding disempowering beliefs. I mean, haven't you done this with yourself? Aren't there areas in your life where you've doubted yourself? How did you do it? You asked yourself lousy questions like, well, what if I screw up? What if I don't follow through? What if I forget what I'm supposed to do? And as you ask these questions, you begin to doubt yourself. Why not use this force for good and use it to destroy the limiting beliefs in your life? And as you question an old belief, begin to build up evidence to support your new beliefs, one that'll empower you. Give it legs. If you build up a belief enough, it'll become something even stronger. It becomes a conviction. A conviction now is a belief that is reinforced by even more powerful references. It's an irresistible force for change. For example, let's say you've decided never to eat meat again. To strengthen your resolve, talk to people who've chosen a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. What reasons prompted them to change their diet? And what have been the consequences on their health and other areas of their life? What benefits have they received? In addition, begin to study the physiological impact that animal protein has upon our bodies. The more references you develop, the more emotional these references are, the stronger your conviction will become. It becomes a conviction if you decide to go to a slaughterhouse and watch what's being destroyed in front of your very eyes and what you're going to eat. I can promise you then it'll go from a belief that you shouldn't do this into a conviction that says, I couldn't consume this ever again. Third, find a triggering event that'll push you over the edge and make it a conviction. Or else create one of your own, just as I've described. For example, if you want to develop a conviction never to abuse drugs, make the painful consequences of drug abuse real to yourself. Watch some films, or better yet, visit a shelter and see firsthand how drug use devastates people's lives. If you vowed to give up smoking, visit the intensive care wing of a hospital and see the emphysema patients confined to oxygen tents, or look at an x-ray of a smoker's black lungs. These kinds of experiences have the power to push you over the edge and establish true conviction. Finally, take action. Each action you take strengthens your commitment and raises the level of your emotional intensity and conviction. So begin today to develop a habit of focusing on the consequences of your beliefs. This, more than anything else, began to change my life. Become conscious. Wake up to their impact. Are they strengthening your foundation by moving you to action in the direction you desire, or are they holding you back? Right now, take 5 minutes on a piece of paper and brainstorm every belief you can think of that empowers you. Write them all down. Then take an equal amount of time and write down all the disempowering beliefs that you can think of that have limited you in your past. Stop this tape right now and do this. Too often in life we listen to a tape or we read a book and we don't really use what we're reading. Please take a moment and do this now. Stop the tape now. Welcome back. Now, you did the exercise, didn't you? I'm assuming you really followed through. If you didn't, stop this tape now and go back and do this. This is my poor impression of Sam Kinison. I'm going to come get you unless you make a change. Back to our story. As you review your beliefs now, knowing you've done this, what have you learned? Now, circle 3 of the empowering beliefs, the most empowering beliefs on your list, and ask yourself a couple questions. How does this belief really empower me? How does it strengthen my life? Once you've done this, by being aware of these beliefs, I can promise you, you'll use them more. Now do the opposite. Go to the opposite list and circle the 2 most limiting beliefs you have. The 2 that hold you back the most, that keep you really from achieving what you want. Look at their consequences to your life. Feel the pain that comes from what they're cheating you out of. And decide once and for all that you're no longer willing to pay the price that they're charging you for your life. Knock the legs out from under them by asking yourself questions like, how is this belief ridiculous or absurd? And really take the time to answer it. Was the person I learned this belief from worth modeling in this area? Were they an expert? Were they producing results? Ask yourself, what will it ultimately cost me emotionally if I don't let go of this belief? What will it ultimately cost me in my relationships? What will it cost me physically or financially? What will it cost my family or my loved ones if I don't change this belief? Your goal is to get some leverage on yourself. In addition, these questions will begin the process of linking pain to your old beliefs. So concentrate on the aspects of your answers. Link these limiting beliefs to such intense pain that you'll want to rid yourselves of them forever. Then write down their replacements. What will you now believe instead that'll empower you? If you're not getting the results you want in your life, I suggest that you ask yourself, what would I have to believe in order to succeed in this situation? Or who's already succeeding in this area? And what do they believe differently than I do that's probably helping them to succeed? Or what's necessary to believe in order to succeed in this situation? By asking these questions, you may very well discover the key belief that's really been eluding you. And if you're experiencing pain, if you feel challenged or frustrated or angry, you may want to ask yourself, what would I have to believe in order to feel the way I do right now? See, the miracle of this simple process is that it will help you to uncover the beliefs that you're not even aware of that you have and they're limiting you. For example, if you're feeling depressed and you ask yourself, what would I have to believe in order to feel depressed? You'll probably come up with something that relates to the future, like, I'm believing that things will never get better or that there's no hope. And when you hear these beliefs verbalized, you might well think, I don't believe that. I feel bad right now, but I know sooner or later it's going to get better. Things aren't going to be bad forever. This too shall pass. Or you may just decide that a belief about having problems permanently is totally destructive and one you're not willing to even consider again. And this will affect you not only now, but it'll affect all of your beliefs in the future as well. Beliefs have the awesome potential to create or to destroy. Your beliefs can give you the power to create massive, immediate, empowering changes in your life, or they can smother any hope you have for a better future. I believe you picked up this tape because deep down inside you decided you no longer want to settle for less than the best. You know you're capable of more. Are you ready now to harness the power to create the vision that you want? Then simply learn to choose the beliefs that empower you, to create convictions that drive you in the direction, the destiny that calls to the highest that's within you. There is absolutely no reason to settle for anything less.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 51. Give me a lever long enough and a prop strong enough, I can single-handedly move the world. Archimedes. There is nothing training cannot do. Nothing is above its reach. It can turn bad morals into good. It can destroy bad principles and recreate good ones. It can lift men to angelship. Mark Twain.
I got a question for you. How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? The answer is simple, only one. But it's very expensive, it takes a long time, and the light bulb has to want to change. This is just a joke, but it illustrates a myth in our culture that says change takes a long time, that it's a terrific struggle, and that it can be incredibly costly in many ways, emotionally, physically, financially. I'm here to tell you that's garbage. See, I'm here to tell you that you can change anything about your life instantly with the right technology, the right strategy. And I'm going to give you that strategy right now. But first, I want you to think about something. Every change you've ever made in your life actually happened in a moment, didn't it? What took time was getting yourself to the point where you finally did what was ever necessary to make it happen. Now let me share with you my science of Neuro-Associative conditioning, or NAC as we call it for short. Sometimes we even call it NAC. NAC is a step-by-step process that can help you to condition your nervous system to associate massive pleasure with the things you want so that you continuously do whatever it takes to move towards them. And it also will show you how to link pain with those things that you need to avoid doing in order to really succeed consistently throughout your entire life. It'll also free you from having to constantly use effort and willpower, because it will empower you to allow your unconscious mind to take over. So you're on automatic pilot because you've been conditioned to succeed. Remember, it's the feelings that we've been conditioned to associate in our nervous systems, again, our neuro-associations, that determine our real feelings and behavior. When we take control of our neuro-associations, we take control of our lives. With NAC, you can condition those neuro-associations so that you're empowered to take action and produce results consistently. NAC is designed to create consistent and lasting change. What are the two changes that everyone wants in their life? Isn't it true that we all want to change either how we feel about things or our behaviors? I mean, if you've been through a tragedy, you've lost a loved one, you've been raped, you're lacking self-esteem, you'll remain in pain until the sensations you link to yourself or to those events or to those situations are changed. That is until you change how you feel about them. See, if you overeat, if you drink too much, if you smoke or take drugs, then you have a set of behaviors that must change. The only way this can happen is by linking pain to those old behaviors and pleasure to the new ones. Well, there I go again. I've said it again. I know it sounds so simple, but what I've really found is that in order for us to be able to create true change, change that lasts, we need to develop a specific system for utilizing any kind of technique that we might learn to create change. And you know what? There are many. Every day I'm picking up new skills and new technologies from a variety of sciences, but I always come back to the same 6 fundamental steps that the science of NAC, Neuro-Associative conditioning, puts forth. I created NAC as a way to use any technology for change. Anything you've ever learned, you'll be able to apply within this system. So what NAC really provides is a specific syntax. That is an order and sequence of ways of using anything you've learned to create long-term, effective, and constant change. And by the way, the word syntax sometimes hooks people. Syntax can be used in the form of language. If I say to you, the dog bit Johnny, or Johnny bit the dog, I use the same exact tool, same words, but I change the order and sequence or the syntax, and it's a very different experience, especially if you're Johnny. Now, to make syntax most effective, there are two shifts in beliefs that you may have to make within yourself. The first belief we must have if we're going to create change quickly is that we can change right now. Now, there is a challenge, and that is our cultural programming teaches us that changing significant problems quickly, well, that's impossible. That to change quickly means we never even have the problem at all. But in fact, it's not change itself that takes time. Remember, it's getting ready to change that takes time. The change itself occurs in an instant. Why not make that instant right now? See, it's up to you and I to get ourselves ready to change, and we can do it immediately. We don't have to wait. And the second belief that you and I must have if we're going to really create long-term change is that we're responsible for our own change, not anyone else. We've got to see ourselves as the source and the agent of change. If we don't, we'll always be looking for someone else to make the change for us, and we'll always have someone else to blame when it doesn't work out. Now, with these two beliefs in mind, I'm now going to give you the 6 master steps to change that are the basis of NAC, Neuro-Associative Conditioning. These 6 steps will show you how to create a direct highway out of pain and into pleasure with no disempowering detours. I challenge you to choose something you really want to change in your life right now, so that as we go through these steps, you can take action and follow through with each of the steps. So you can really produce actions and results because you've listened to them. So let's begin. Here are the 6 master steps of NAC. Step 1 is simply this. Decide, what do you really want and what's preventing you from having it now? See, when I do private counseling with people, I often ask people what they really want out of their life, or they're telling me a problem, I ask them what they want instead. And an amazing number of these people will spend 15 minutes telling me what they don't want. See, remember, you get whatever you focus on in life. If you keep focusing on what you don't want, you'll just get more of it. Change that focus. Decide what you do want. The more specific you can be about it, the more clarity you'll have and the more power you'll command to achieve what you want more rapidly. At the same time, we need to learn what's preventing us from having what we do want. These are the disempowering beliefs reviewed a few minutes ago. And again, I keep saying it again and again because I don't want you to forget it. Invariably, what's preventing us from making the changes is that we link more pain to making the change than staying where we are. If you're really going to change, then you've got to change these associations. You've got to knock the supports out from under these disempowering beliefs and use that list of doubt-creating questions I just gave you to be able to weaken them. Let's go to step 2. Step 2 always is get leverage. Get leverage on yourself. Get yourself to associate massive pain to not changing now and massive pleasure with the experience of changing right now. See, change is not a question of capability. It's a question of motivation. If someone put a gun to your head and said, you better get out of that depressed state and start feeling happy now, I'll bet you could find a way to change your emotional state for the moment, couldn't you? But the problem for most of us, most of the time, is that change doesn't feel like it's a must. It feels like something we should do, something that we ought to do, we'd like to do someday, not something we absolutely must do right now without waiting another second. And that's the problem. See, the only way we're going to make a change now is if we create a sense of urgency that's so intense that we're compelled to follow through right now, in this moment. If we want to create change, then we have to realize that it's not a question of whether we can do it, it's a question of whether we will do it. See, whether we will do it comes down to a matter of motivation. Down once again to those twin pillars that shape our lives, pain and pleasure. To get true leverage, ask yourself pain-inducing questions. Questions like, what will this cost me if I don't change? What will I miss out in my life if I don't make this shift now? What's it already costing me mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially, and spiritually in my life? See, the key here is make the pain of not changing so real, so intense, that you can't put off taking action any longer. Then start using pleasure-associating questions to help you link those positive feelings to the idea of changing so you really want it. Ask questions like, if I do change, how will that make me feel about myself? What kind of momentum could I create if I change this in my life right now? What other things could I accomplish if I really made this change today? How will my family and friends feel? How much happier will I be? See, the key is to get lots of reasons, or better yet, strong enough reasons to change what you're doing right now immediately, not someday in the future.